Hey everybody, it's Nina Segura and
Christine Stiller. Hi, everyone.
hi, we are here from Super Virtual Teams. And today we're focusing on virtual team building activities as it relates to our acronym SVT, which stands for Super Virtual Teams. So we have gone through S for Sixth Sense, and then we have a separate one for V for vulnerability, which you'll see. And also, we're talking today about T, which stands for thinking like business owners. So we believe that all super virtual teams have these three things in common. And thinking like a business owner is what really sets apart a great team or a good virtual team versus a super virtual team. Helping people take accountability and support one another and help them understand what they each of them mean and what makes the team successful. So today we're going to do a really cool activity to support you with this line of thinking. So it takes about 3 to 15 participants, and in Zoom you can also break people out into rooms. This is good for what, Christine, new teams in transition. So if people have been thrust into a virtual team, this is great, right?
Absolutely. Some teams going through change, some new additions to the team, teams that might be floundering or struggling or in the storming stage of our stages of team development. So helping them to take back and ownership and accountability for their results and their impact on others in the team and how they can impact their own results.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. We actually believe that leaders take responsibility for their impact, whether the impact is intentional or unintentional. So we believe that in order to help people think like business owners, the best business owners, the business owners that have been in businesses for decades and decades and hundreds of years, they stand by their employees, right? They take responsibility for what their employees said or didn't say and the best benefit of their customers. So today we're going to be talking about the activity for thinking like business owner. This particular one is called Reframe the Rant, and it can take about 60 minutes. So this would be a really fun thing to do when you know that your team needs that to get back connected to one another. And it has 2 rounds. So Christine, you want to talk a little bit about the first round, and then we'll go to the second one?
Yes. So part of this activity is bringing awareness to how we contribute to the energy of the team. So in the first round, each team member will have 1 to 2 minutes to be able to talk about a complaint that they have within work or within life. And as a leader, you would want to give some parameters around what they can complain about. So things like be mindful of the choice of language that you use, and perhaps you have a boundary around no name calling or labeling of anyone in the rant.
Yeah.
So the rant could be every person is in the team. You want to give them a couple of minutes to come up with the thing that they want to vent about, to rant about. So, for example, and Nina and I will demonstrate this. And so you're going to give them 15 seconds per person. So, Nina, have you come up with the topic that you would like to rant about for 15 seconds?
Yes, and one other thing you might also say before that is make sure that the team knows that whatever's said in that meeting stays in that meeting. So let the person rant. Sometimes we can treat people like permanent objects, like our couch or something. And people change and as a leader, it's our responsibility to build confidentiality, let people have their moment, and then, realize that moment's over and, transformation happens in the current moment. So just give people the space they need to say whatever they have to say, get out their feelings, and then, not talk about it again and agree not to talk about it again. So I have a rant about something. We have a local government official here in our city who is pushing their agenda for financial profits. And so I've had several conversations with them as politely as possible. and I'm losing my patience. And I think it's mostly because I don't think this person knows how to look at statistical graphs and make conclusions about certain things. So I'm really upset that they are in a position of authority and they're not doing they're not relying on their strengths, and they're not looking to have other people help them with things like reading statistical charts. I think that's pretty important. If that's your limit, find somebody else that can help you read it. Stop acting like you really know what it is. So that's my rant.
So, and so we were timing that. So she was just around the 15 seconds. So you might want to set timers with people, and when the timer goes off, they know they have to stop. So, but that was about 15 seconds. So excellent. So then we go on to the next person, and so I'm the next person. So, what do I want to rant about? Okay, so I'm going to rant about something that's really kind of petty, but it really bothers me. So I just want to get it out of my system. And so I live in a really nice neighborhood. I really love where I live. And the people on the left side of me and the right side of me both have a beautiful pool. And they both like really loud music at their pool. And it's two very different genres of music, and it plays all afternoon on both Saturday and Sunday, really loud. And I feel like I'm sandwiched in the middle between the two warring songs. And I'm also a very polite person, so I just kind of suck it up and don't say anything. It's not like I spend that much time out there. But I kind of annoyed that I'm stuck in the middle between the two very loud partiers on both sides of both neighbors.
I could see how that would be annoying.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as the leader, you would debrief. Some questions you might consider asking of your team is for them to name the energy. As you heard everybody ranting and complaining, what impact does that have on the team, on the energy of the team? And what was it like hearing yourself complain and then hearing other people complain? And how familiar is that to the atmosphere that the team has? So is that a really familiar place, or was that unfamiliar? So how much is complaining and whining going on in your team? Would you add anything to that, Nina?
Yeah, I love that question, because oftentimes we're so focused on getting something done, deliverables, which is really just a task, and we forget about we're existing in a environment, even though it's virtual, that there's still a relational feel, there's still a team feel, there's still an impact on the team. So if I'm complaining about something, in essence, I'm choosing not to be a leader. I'm choosing, and that's okay. We all complain. It's human. And in that moment, though, how far am I going to let that impact go to my team? So this is why coaches and team builders and support staff is so important, because we can carry that into where we work. And nobody wants to come to work miserable. People want to be happy. And as leaders, it's our responsibility to create an environment, like you said, how's that impacting the field? So I'll just answer the question, and then you can too. It would be great if you want, Christine, which is, when I heard myself talking, I was like, wow, that person sounds so self-righteous. And I realized that was me. So I could see how that might come across, and that might not be such an environment where I really want that to be that impact. So something to consider.
Yes. And I felt like I was noticing with myself, I was like, I'm whining about something that is so petty in the world. I mean, even said that up front. It's so minor compared to all the problems in the world, and so why do I even give it airtime about that? So then in the next round, because to what you said, Nina, is that leaders take responsibility for their world. So whatever they have that's occurring in their world, leaders take a look at, what impact can I have on that? What ownership can I take for that situation? So now you would give your team members 2 to 3 minutes to think about how they would reframe the exact same story in saying what is it that they could do about it. So what would be different? What action or what reframe could they give to that situation that would show that they are taking ownership for their part in it?
I love that. And once again, you know, the way Christine and I work, we always customize everything and we are in the moment. So although we know these exercises, we didn't actually prepare scenarios or anything or actually rolling with it. And, right now in this moment, all this is being created. So I'm actually thinking this is a real life scenario. This isn't made up for either one of us. And that's how we like to be. We like to be authentic. So what I've done that's worked for me so far is to be polite about what I know and to make requests of this person who works for our city. And also, I've thought about how much you said something important, actually. I've thought about how much airtime I want to give this in my head because I can't dwell on it and look to see, did he change it? Did he, because we have this place where the city goes for information. So I think it's letting go and trusting that there's other people that know how to read statistics that are going to help, hopefully, besides me. I won't be the only crazy town person here saying, hey, that's kind of not what that means. So hopefully, there will be other people that'll support. And I believe in that. I believe that there will be. But what you said really resonated with me is like, how much airtime do you really want to give this? At the end of the day, I can't be present with you if I'm constantly replaying that resentment in my head.
Right.
So that's it.
And then you go on to the next person and to the next person. So I would go and next, and I would really rethink about my scenario instead of framing it as a complaint. Say, yes. So you know what? If it bothers me that much, then I think I would be going to the neighbors to just let them know the impact. I'm sure they aren't aware of the impact that it has, and to be able to let them know and give them the opportunity to do something different. And in the meantime, if I'm not willing to go and do something about it, then I'm going to stop complaining about it.
So. Perfect. So that's one way that you can support your team and realizing that leaders take responsibility and, thinking like business owners, the best business owners and the best business leaders take responsibility. So that's one exercise you can do to help people reframe and think about what they can do to make their team environment super virtual teams. Look forward to seeing you soon. Bye.
Bye.